Here with Lindsay Ambrosino of the softball team, the pride of Chelmsford, Massachusetts, as we continue our hashtag YWPI feature. And Lindsay, thanks for joining us today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
So can you let us know, can we go on the Wayback Machine to 2.5, 3 years ago? And can you tell us how you got interested in WPI?
Definitely. So I've always known that I wanted to be an engineer pretty much my whole life. My dad is an engineer, and I've always just loved everything to do with math and science. One of my brothers also looked at all the different engineering schools when he was looking at schools, and that's pretty much how I found out about WPI and became interested in it.
Perfect. And obviously we recruited you, but you may have snuck a peek at WPI softball before the recruiting got going. Can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. So I actually came up during one of the New Mac championships just to see a game at WPI because it was definitely a school that was on my list at that point. So I came up to Rooftop Field to watch a game, and I just loved the atmosphere and the energy of the game.
Yeah, to explain that first time at Rooftop Field, isn't that quite, of course, the weather's a little nicer. I'm not going to lie to you, as you know, the weather's a little nicer in May than it is in March, but just as are you a high school sophomore or junior at that point?
Junior, yeah.
Yeah, just talk about the atmosphere that you see at a college softball game.
Of course. So we pulled in and we see the beautiful Higgins house on the left and pull under the garage and then realize we're going up to the top of it. And just being in that atmosphere, you know, everything is just so fast and so sharp and so energetic. Just from warm-ups, we could tell what kind of team WPI was. And just being up on that roof is such an interesting experience, something I'd never seen, but it's such a beautiful field. And it was a really, really good game.
And take us through the recruiting process. What do you remember about it?
Definitely. I remember emailing Coach Whitney during the end of my junior year, and I remember she really got right back to me and talked about how excited she was to come watch me play that summer. And that was one of the first college coaches that had responded to me, and I was just so excited. And then she came to some of my games that summer, and I remember being pretty nervous, I'd say, at first, but just like seeing her and talking with her was such a nice and reassuring experience.
And obviously you had an interest in engineering, but and obviously you're a very accomplished, not only softball player, but you're probably even more accomplished in the classroom as you are an academic all-district kid, correct?
Yes.
Just talk about you're looking at great schools. How did WPI stand out?
I think when I visited WPI, because I had a couple big schools on my list, and I think when I visited WPI, I wasn't sure at first, but I kind of didn't want to admit to myself how much I loved it when I first got there. It really just felt so comfortable and so much like home as soon as I stepped onto the campus, really. And it took me a little bit to realize how much I loved it. And then once I allowed myself to, I was like, this is definitely the place for me. It just, all the people on campus, it's just such a welcoming environment when you first get here.
And I assume you did an official visit?
Yes, I did.
So now do you look back now, say, hey, I'm 2 or 3 years older, and wow, that visit was awesome. Do you still remember that fondly?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I went on a tour with some of the players, and they just rave about WPI and show off the school in such a great way. I went to a class with some of them, went to dinner, and I remember feeling like they didn't really treat me as a recruit. They just kind of treated me as an equal and as a peer. And we just talked about different things at dinner, and we laughed, and I watched a practice, and I was just so impressed with how well run the practice was and how every minute was utilized.
Oh, yes, it is.
Absolutely.
And let's fast forward. You're on campus, either first day of new student orientation or your first day of classes. Is there any defining moment that you remember about that?
I think it was when we first moved in, and so much of the softball team came up to our room when we were, in the crazy process of setting up our room and meeting my roommates and everything. And all the softball players and coach came up to say hi and welcome us. And I just remember being so excited. I mean, a lot of times people say, oh, were you nervous? And I really just was 100% excited to start at WPI, and seeing all the players say hi and just welcome us right away. It really just felt like we were already part of a family.
Well, one of the tough things about New England softball is playing having to practice in January and February inside and being cold in March and April. But one of the cool things is getting to do a non-traditional season in the fall. Did you think was that a great part of your freshman year, that you were able to jump into softball kind of early and kind of get into that rhythm?
Absolutely. I mean, we had a couple of weeks off at the beginning, which was a nice way to kind of get into campus, but I was so excited to start that fall ball. And I think it's a good mix of not being like right into your season, so it's not crazy and overwhelming, but being able to start softball right away and start playing with your teammates and getting to know them on and off the field. It was a good experience. And we also always have our fall play day, which is a really fun way to just get into it and start playing with each other.
And let's talk about the first year experience. I'm going to guess you excelled at that.
Yeah, I mean, I loved it. New student orientation. I had such a fun time. And then after that, my entire freshman year, I think it was so much fun just being in a dorm. And it's one of those experiences that after my first year, I moved off campus, but being in a dorm is one of those experiences that you'll never get back. And it's such a good way to just meet new people and see new people, and you're all in it together. And whether it's like a faster school, well, the school's going faster than high school, but you're all kind of working through it. And I just really enjoyed that crazy experience of living in a little room with 2 other people and really getting to know them.
So you'll look fondly back about it, but you'll try never to do it again. Is that a safe way to say it?
I would say so. I would say so. It's something you have to go through once, but it is nice having your own room after that.
So maybe I'll put some words in your mouth, but it sounds like you're very happy with coming to WPI.
Oh my God, absolutely.
Do you look back 3 years ago and say, wow, like I had to make a decision 3 years ago and like, wow, I nailed it. Like talk about that for a second. End with that, if you don't mind, like not to put pressure on anybody looking at that, but like you made the right call. You must be thrilled.
Definitely. I remember just thinking, at some point I'm going to make a decision about where I'm going, and I just wonder what that'll be. And I think by the time, I called coach and I was like, I think I'm definitely coming to WPI. In that moment, I knew it was the right decision. And every moment since then, I think I've known it's the right decision.
Well, we are glad you made that decision, Lindsay. We hope we see you out on the softball field real soon. And thank you for sharing why WPI. Thank you.
Thank you so much.